This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We're honored to continue and share the teachings of the founding father of science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach.
Hello, everybody. Let's go ahead and open up the Zoom waiting room. Open the doors. Actually, they're in the waiting room. Let's let them in the Zoom. Come on, Albert. Let's bring them in. Hello and welcome, everybody, to Daily with Doc and Becca. My name is Becca Dukes. As a certified naturopathic practitioner, the producer and host of this show, and a certified holistic health coach, and the Director of Student Services for the Institute of Holistic Health, I am busy doing what I love most, and that is providing information that's empowering to you, your families, your communities, and together around the world on what we can do to help ourselves build healthier lives. So, folks, we're on this thing called a health journey, and there's so many things in this health journey: obstacles, road bumps, sidetracks, bunny trails. Today, we are going to be talking about some of the things, and it is part 2 of yesterday, but some of those things called heavy metals and how they mimic themselves as needed essential nutrients and minerals. Are you ready? So, folks, this program is being sponsored by dailywithdoc.com. So if you have not done so already, make sure that you go to the website, sign up for our email list so that you can receive right in your email box invitations to special events, including Daily with Doc, and also notification of who we have coming on the show and a newsletter. So dailywithdoc.com. Sign up for the email list, folks. You're going to find more information on that website as well, including a good foods, bad foods list and some of our past programming. And if you are not already working with somebody and you were not referred to this program by somebody specific, because, folks, we are a resource for an amazing community, I want to make sure that you get back with the person that shared this program with you. They are your number one contact, the person that cared most about you to make sure that you are empowered with information. So get back with them. For those of you who found us on your own, we have a lot of information, including a store on what we have found to be solutions for nutritional deficiencies. Now, let's get back to today's programming. As today, I am honored to welcome back to the show Joanna Kappele, the founder of Adore Your Home, a trusted voice, folks, in helping families create healthier homes by removing hidden environmental toxins of everyday life. Now, Joanna, through the years in her research, practice, and putting things into implementation, and as a leading educator in non-toxic living, is coming today to help us identify, and not just identify, but see the effects of those hidden heavy metals that get hidden in our cells and keep our body from absorbing what we need most. So please help me welcome to the screen dear friend Joanna Kappele. Thank you so much, Joanna, for being on with us again. And, you know, this is part 2. We covered quite a bit yesterday, and I want to do in today's, and I know we're going to do a little bit of review of what we did yesterday, but we're going to dig deeper into what the mimicry of heavy metals compared to minerals. So, Joanna, welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Becca. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited to share this information.
Well, it's something near and dear to your heart because of life circumstances. And that's how I got the passion that I have, because of life circumstances. And I know there's so many people out there that are in situations similar to where we were, that are looking for hope.
Yes.
So let's provide them with some more information. And we are going to have questions at the end. We've got some questions that I already have from England that was posted yesterday, or sent to me yesterday, and also hands that are already up. So Joanna, I'm going to let you just go ahead and jump right in.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Becca. Yes, I know yesterday we covered a lot of information, so I'd like to, review where we were yesterday and, and definitely provide hope to people, because this is a very hopeful topic, in my opinion, especially when you look at the big picture and put it all together. So I do have a slideshow, which I'd like to share.
Go for it.
If I can do that now, let me see if I can figure that out. Let's see. All right, one moment. Let me get this all set. Yes, I don't know how many people here today were listening yesterday, but this will be a bit of a recap and hopefully be helpful. So can you see the screen okay?
Yes, we can. Did you want to make your presentation in
Oh
presentation
yeah,
mode?
I'm
So we
sorry.
see
It should
one
be
at
on
a time,
presentation. Yes, let me figure that out. One moment. All right, if I can remember how to do this.
and then click on the image. Click on this.
Let's see. Is that right? Not yet.
Wait, we're getting there.
I'm sorry.
But you
I'm
know what?
sorry. Hold on. Okay, I can't see what you all see. Do you see this? You see the slides? Let me see. I
So
think I,
for everybody, if you look at the
one moment.
profiles, look for exclamation point, a smile. That is what is being seen out on all of the different streaming platforms. So you want to move over to seeing that, but go ahead and try doing the screen share again. There you go. You
Is
got
that
it.
it? Oh, yeah, I
Beautiful.
see. I'm
That's
very
it.
little. All right. All right, very good. All right, so heavy metals. Are you on? Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one. What are heavy metals? And yes, as Becca said, the heavy metals are the mimic of essential minerals, which is really fascinating. And yeah, as we get into this, you'll see why it's called the mimic and what we can do about that, and how minerals play such a vital role in defending our health. So what are heavy metals? Naturally occurring substances found in Earth's crust. They've been here forever. And they've only become a greater problem today because we have so much exposure due to industrial pollution and manufacturing processes affecting our air, water, and food supply. Heavy metals mimic essential minerals in our bodies. And in a few minutes, you'll see why. When our cellular mineral levels are low or insufficient, heavy metals will step in and assume the role of minerals. Now, this is something we do not want, and it sets the stage for disease in our body. Some people ask how many heavy metals there are. That answer varies depending on who you're talking to. Many scientific bodies, they use different ways to measure and evaluate them. Some are based on density and atomic weight, and others classify them by toxicity. So here are some of the heavy metals highlighted on the periodic table. Some of these others are heavy metals as well, but they're not all highlighted in this image. But there's some heavy metals that are far more common than others. And are you all seeing the same slide that I'm showing, most common heavy metals?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you. So lead is probably the one most of us hear about. It's a big problem in our water supplies and a big problem for children, causes developmental delays and lower IQ. And when it gets in the body, it can interfere with and mimic calcium-dependent processes, entering cells through the calcium channels. And calcium, as you know, is an essential mineral, biggest mineral we need, I believe. Cadmium is one of the next most, these aren't in any particular order, by the way. Cadmium is another common heavy metal, and it can enter the kidney cells via receptors meant for nutrient uptake. And again, these enter our bodies when the minerals are not there because the heavy metals mimic the minerals. Our bodies don't know, the cells don't know the difference because they are so similar in structure. Mercury can enter kidney cells via transporters intended for transporting organic atoms and molecules. Aluminum, many people know of. Aluminum is implicated in many disorders in the brain and memory problems, and dementia, Alzheimer's, etc. Aluminum gets stored mostly in bones, brain, lungs, and the liver. Arsenic, many people know of. It's used to be used as a fertilizer, particularly in orchards. Arsenic accumulates in the liver, kidneys, skin, hair, nails, bones, and muscles. Manganese, another common heavy metal. It tends to accumulate in the pancreas, brain, liver, kidneys, and bones. Chromium is also prevalent, especially hexavalent chromium, the Aaron Brockovich chemical. It's now contaminating drinking water throughout the United States. It's a big problem and it's a big carcinogen. Cobalt is another common heavy metal, stores mainly in the liver, heart, kidneys, and pancreas. Anyway, these are not, as you can see, these are not really helpful when they get into our bodies. They're not doing our body any favors or our health. So the mimic, we call heavy metals the mimic because they mimic essential minerals. Heavy metals exploit the same pathways as essential minerals to enter our cells, both human and animals, a phenomenon known as biomimicry. Due to their similar biophysical and chemical properties, toxic heavy metals deceive the cells into thinking they're minerals. And this is particularly a problem, and really only a problem, when we're lacking the essential minerals. In the absence of essential minerals, as in the case of nutrient deficiency, heavy metals sneak into cells pretending to be essential minerals. Heavy metals like cadmium and lead have physicochemical similarities to essential minerals such as calcium, magnesium, and zinc. This allows them to trick the cell's transport systems. The body then absorbs heavy metals through the same nutrient transport systems it would absorb nutrients such as minerals. However, the magical thing is that if we have the essential minerals in our system, in our bodies, the mimic cannot sneak into cells and do damage. That's something to keep in mind as we go through this slideshow journey. Now, yesterday I mentioned Chicago has the most lead lines still in activity, lead water lines still in activity in households and businesses. But as you can see, nearly every state in the US still has lead water lines in place, some more so than others. Now, this chart is from the Natural Resources Defense Council. The darker the red, the more lead lines in use still today. So Illinois and Ohio lead the pack, but Pennsylvania and New York and New Jersey are right behind And all these other states have them to some degree. Now you can look, there are websites where you can look up your town and see if lead service lines are still in place. But this is a very primary route for exposure to lead. This is why I really advocate for everyone to have water filters in their home. And if you do have lead service lines bringing water to your house, you really don't want to be showering in this water either. So I really advocate for shower filters as well. If you can afford it and get a whole house filter, that covers all your water. But again, that's reverse osmosis, which takes the minerals out. So another reason why you want to be adding minerals to your daily routine. So this is a big pathway for lead to get into our bodies through the water we drink. And if we cook with water that's not filtered and we have lead service lines, all of our food is getting lead in it through what we boil or cook with that water. So heavy metals in air, soil, food, and water. Heavy metals get into our environment from power plants, mining operations, fracking and oil wells, and really any industry that's emitting pollution via the air or the water. Smokestacks, if you are ever driving or if you have smokestack and factories in your town, you probably see power plants, smoke coming out. That's typically that's known as industrial pollution. And it's, wherever they are, there's usually a lack of pollution control systems in place, unfortunately, due to poor enforcement from the EPA and other factors. But this is a big source of pollution getting into our environment. And when it gets into the air, these things settle, especially heavy metals, mercury. Big problem with mercury is coming from these facilities, and it gets into the water, contaminates the fish and the animals living in the water. And these heavy metals move up the food chain as they're bioaccumulative. So the larger animals tend to have the greatest amounts of lead in their fatty tissues, or all heavy metals, not just lead. So lead water lines supplying tap water to homes and businesses, metal plating in steel mills, forest fire smoke, and aerial fire suppression compounds and chemicals are saturated with heavy metals. And those get doused, like as we saw in California last January, all the aerial fire suppression happening was dumping a lot of heavy metals through the woods and into the waterways there. And it happens wherever there are forest fires. But the heavy metals come from just the smoke itself as well. Agricultural runoff from factory farms, toxic pesticides, sewage, sludge, and fertilizer is a big source of heavy metals getting into our water and food supply. Vehicle exhaust and brake pads, another big source. And this is also, not just vehicles on the road, but boats, planes, trains, anything with diesel exhaust is a big source of heavy metals. Plastic and pesticide pollution. I mentioned the petrochemical facilities. There's tons of heavy metal waste coming from there, both into the air and water. Incinerators and waste disposal, another huge source. Recycling, metal, plastic, e-waste, anything from e-waste, computers, circuit boards, cell phones, really anything made, any takeout containers with black plastic, that's generally recycled e-waste, which will have heavy metals in it. Facilities that discharge and dump waste in the air and waterways, legally or illegally, there's usually heavy metals in with that, and forever chemicals and all sorts of endocrine disruptors and other carcinogens. And then, of course, there's the rapid increase today in heavy metal nanoparticle production. And there's extensive use of nanoparticles now in products. And this is an unregulated industry, so no labeling is required. We don't really know how much we're being exposed to through that. And there hasn't been a lot of testing done. So it could be relatively safe, but it's better to be safe than sorry, and follow the, um, I'm trying to think of what the term is, but better to be safe than sorry and avoid things if they're not safety tested. So here's a map from the EPA. This is in a book that I'm going to finally publish. It was supposed to be published like 20 years ago, but this is on mercury fish consumption advisories throughout the U.S. As you can see, there's many local water bodies included. It's not just the open oceans and seas. Mercury pollution from smokestacks and everything else affects water everywhere. So this is a big red flag. I think now they're saying, you shouldn't eat freshwater fish more than once a month due to heavy metal mercury contamination. So just keep that in mind. A good varied diet is the best way to go. So heavy metals in food. Fish, especially tuna, swordfish, and salmon, can contain mercury. So it's good to rotate fish if you're eating it, and seafood. Spices. Now, heavy metals naturally occur in soil, so a lot of heavy metals can be absorbed from spices and anything growing in the ground. Baby foods can be concentrated. Concentrated types of foods can bring all that in. Any foods that aren't peeled or washed properly beforehand, or smoothies and stuff made without peeling, and fresh juices, like if those aren't clean first, you can get anything from the soil in those, and pesticides, of course. Food packaging can have heavy metals, heavily processed foods, leafy greens and root vegetables, especially from farms that use biosolids as fertilizer. Biosolids are one of my least favorite things in this world. Biosolids are sewage sludge that has been repurposed as fertilizer. I think that's totally crazy, weird thing for us to be doing and allowing as a country. But the good news is if you eat organically, you'll be avoiding biosolid fertilizer because it's not allowed on organic or biodynamic farms. Chocolate is another red flag for heavy metals, and so is rice, unfortunately. So try to choose organically. With chocolate, they say try to keep it around 70% cocoa, because the more cocoa intense you get, the more likely it's going to have heavy metal contamination. I hope I'm not going through this too fast.
No, I think you're doing great. And folks, if you're here live with us in the Zoom, you'll see that AJ has put a link into the chat for lead pipe map. So
good.
make sure that you check that out as well if you're interested to see if there's any lead pipes in your area. Go ahead, Joanna.
All right. Thank you, Becca. Okay, so heavy metals. When we're exposed to heavy metals, they enter the body through inhaling, which is breathing, ingestion through our mouth, or absorbing through our skin. Heavy metals, once inside our bodies, can get absorbed in the gut lining. They travel through the blood and can make our blood dirty, as pharmacist Ben likes to say. They disrupt enzymes, damage DNA, disrupt protein synthesis, and interfere with normal body functions. They bioaccumulate in our body's fat tissue, organs, and our brain. They can cross the blood-brain barrier. They create oxidative stress in the body and accelerate production of free radicals. They cause organ damage and cancer. They affect our brain and nervous system, cardiovascular system, respiratory system, and the renal kidney system. Most vulnerable people are children, pregnant women, and the elderly. How do heavy metals get into products? In food, contamination can occur at any step of the supply chain process, from soil to farming methods, to water use, to processing, packaging, and distribution. In makeup, they can be naturally occurring from pigments and clays used, or they can be intentionally added as colorants or preservatives. In disposable coffee cups, they can be found in the plastic linings that break down and they release heavy metals and microplastics into hot beverages. In ceramic servingware, especially older and earthenware ceramic, toxic glazes often contain lead. So I mentioned Cancer Alley yesterday, where the most petrochemical facilities exist in a given area. So this is in Louisiana. Yeah, and it's called Cancer Alley because so many residents there have, you know, there's a higher rate of cancer there than anywhere else in the country, and it's very sad. But this is a direct result of pollution and what pollution and heavy metals do to our bodies. It's not just heavy metals; it's lots of other carcinogens and whatnot that goes into the air
Joanna,
and water there. Yes?
can we go back one slide, please? 'Cause I have a question.
Yes.
As we're looking at the ceramic servingware, toxic glazes that can contain lead,
Yes.
from your experience and research as an ecologist, what is the best cookware to use?
Well, cookware, I like, stainless steel and glass and for boiling tea water and stuff. But I love Le Creuset. I believe they're lead free. I mean, there's the higher end cookware will be pretty safe. You can do some research if there's something you want to buy. A lot of this, the lead contaminated coffee cups and whatnot, can be from imported where the regulations aren't as strict and older. Before the early 70s, we weren't really controlling what was going into products in America either. So a lot of this has to do with um, older servingware and plates and,
Okay.
antique dishes and stuff like that. So
Okay.
some of it is better
Thank you.
decorative than, daily use.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. So folks, if you've got heirloom pieces that have passed down, you want to really take into consideration what you are cooking your food with, because it's not always been lead free.
That's right. Yeah, and it applies
All
to
right, please
plates and
continue.
bowls and cups too. So
Like
yeah,
melamine?
oh yeah, melamine's no good. Don't not like that. That's on a lot of desktops. Cancer Alley, so that we went over that. Yeah, so up in smoke. Oh, yeah, so it's not just tobacco and cigarettes that have heavy metals. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of dispensaries everywhere now, and everyone's, there's a lot of people using edibles and vapes, and these present a danger too, because marijuana is a huge absorber of heavy metals. And so when it's smoked, um, those are in the smoke and ingested into people's lungs, which is another route of entry into our bodies. So, and vapes of all kinds are problematic as the heat coils emit heavy metals such as lead, nickel, chromium, tin, and arsenic into the aerosol, which users then inhale. So, it's something to be mindful of when you're using these types of things. Illicit, and we mentioned this yesterday, like people, addicts and whatnot. Illicit drugs are really problematic for lots of reasons, but they also contain, cocaine is the way it's processed. It will have lead and arsenic and chromium, and cocaine and meth too also have a lot of manganese, which, as we touched on yesterday, can accumulate in the brain and, cause a lot of problems with decision making and, just depression and hostile feelings and whatnot. So heat coils, even in lighters, emit heavy metals in the smoke as well. So I don't know if there's something manufacturers can do to fix this issue, but just something to be aware of if your friends or family use those things. So heavy metals in our homes, as we mentioned, lead water lines, of course. And then there's light bulbs. Intact light bulbs aren't so much a problem, but when they're broken, they become, unless they're incandescent, which are not really sold anymore in the US, which personally drives me crazy. Broken light bulbs are a mini hazardous waste site in your home. So if you have CFL, LEDs, cold cathode, or fluorescent, if these break, you should leave the room for like 15 minutes, open a window, get ventilation, and then, let it settle, and then come back. Don't use a vacuum. You're supposed to cover it, keep the particles as intact as possible, try to clean them up with a damp cloth so they don't spread into the air and get into the dust in your home, etc. There's information on this if you look up the EPA website and whatnot. It's something to be aware of when you're using lights. Lead paint in older homes obviously has lead, so beware of paint chips. Dust in homes contains a lot of microplastics, bacteria, and heavy metals. So, it's good to do damp dusting, not use a vacuum, but put a HEPA filter in your vacuum when you do vacuum. Makeup and cosmetics are another source of heavy metals, as we touched upon. Textiles, furniture, drapery, even clothing with polyester, carpets and rugs, dog toys and dog beds, anything with polyester, flame retardants, microfibers. Microfibers can be an issue because they collect things so easily. They're like sponges and collect anything from dust. And as we talked about yesterday, heavy metals can hitch onto nanoparticles and these invisible little elements in the air that we don't even see. And microfibers can, just collect all of that. So all of that can be a source of heavy metal exposure. Building materials, PVC, treated wood, cement, old paint, microplastics in plastic containers, dust, black plastic is from e-waste, which is a big source because all the electronics, when they're melted down, have tons of heavy metals. And then nanoparticles in skincare products, especially sunscreens, cookware, cosmetics, food, candy, cleaning, microbial cleaning products. Again, lack of safety testing with the nanoparticles and labeling and regulation. I just have to say that's a red flag for now until it's totally safety tested. And what I was thinking before was a precautionary principle. Yeah, that's, where nothing should be put out into the market unless it's fully vetted and we know it's safe. And nanoparticles have not passed that test yet, in my opinion. Health effects of heavy metals. Gut dysbiosis and metabolism problems. It's said by many that heavy metals increases your risk for diabetes. There's bone and joint pain, oxidative stress, cell damage, DNA damage, inflammation, cancer. Heavy metals increase risk of lung, prostate, brain tumors, and other types of cancer, kidney and liver damage, cholesterol dysfunction in the liver, which I think sets up things, and that's part of the problem with the MS, but cardiovascular damage, high blood pressure, heart damage can set the stage for people to have stroke. There's respiratory disease, breathing difficulty, lung damage, anemia, skin disorders, hair loss, speech and vision problems, immune system damage, and autoimmune disorders. So there's a whole host of heavy metal problems that heavy metal health effect problems that we can suffer from. Oh, I'm sorry. That was supposed to be the second one. Here are the rest of the health effects of heavy metals. Heavy metals are neurotoxins, reproductive toxins, and carcinogens. They cause brain and nervous system disorders. Heavy metals are linked with Alzheimer's, ALS, MS, Parkinson's, tremors, headaches, brain fog, memory issues, brain dysfunction, nerve pain, neuropathy, tingling, numbness in hands and feet, learning and development disorders, autism, ADHD, cognitive decline, low IQ. Mood swings and behavior disorders are another huge red flag, big problem. Hostility, anger, violence, psychoses. This is really related with the manganese accumulation in the brain. Mental health problems, depression, anxiety, schizophrenia. I think what happens with these heavy metals, I'd have to have a doctor weigh in, but I think it depends what heavy metal gets stored and where in the brain it gets stored. And that's the type of problem that will be exhibited, so that's why there's such a range of brain and nervous system disorders, I believe. But reproductive problems include infertility, low sperm count, problems conceiving and miscarriage. There's hormone and neurotransmitter malfunctioning, serotonin and dopamine interference. The neurotransmitters, promote happiness. They're very involved with sleep, mood, motor control, focus, and immunity. There's sleep problems, of course. And in the brain, again, I brought this in. Scientists believe manganese accumulation can cause breakdown in the inhibition mechanism, which is a key factor in violent behavior. So the good news is we can support our body and lessen or end the damage the mimic does to us. So that's what's exciting. I know we just talked about all the bad things heavy metals can do, but the important thing is that there's something that naturally exists that can help us and help our body defend itself. The guardians of our health. So get ready to be fascinated. These heavy metals, the mimic, they mimic essential minerals in our bodies. The heavy metals hitchhike on the pathways meant for minerals. So consider essential minerals the guardian of your body's health. Without any presence of these essential minerals, we're basically left defenseless. There's no guard present defending us against the heavy metals. And in turn, the heavy metals will bind and adhere, stow away, and store themselves within our cells, causing toxification. If we remain consistently short on the minerals we need, heavy metals will continually accumulate in our brain and organ tissue, causing low-grade damage and inflammation that slowly but surely increases as we get older. So we want to avoid that for sure, and minerals is the fabulous way to do that. So when toxins imitate nutrients, this is a wonderful visual put together with Becca. So minerals mimic, the mimicry happens from the heavy metals. So here we have we can see essential minerals, beneficial, toxic metals, harmful, imitators. So we have calcium, magnesium, they're competing for the same biological pathways. Calcium, magnesium over here, lead and mercury over here, the bad guys. Here's zinc and iron being helpful. Here's cadmium and arsenic causing damage. So we want this, we don't want this. Again, mineral transport channel, heavy metals hijacking molecular and ionic mimicry when minerals are absent. Heavy metals exploit their structural similarities to minerals, tricking transport systems into letting them enter the cells. This is something we do not want. So this is how they disrupt. There's enzyme interference, nervous system disruption, increased oxidative stress and free radical damage, and further mineral depletion. Again, all of this can be more or less prevented if we have minerals in our bodies. Adequate mineral status. Look, it's just like a garden with plants and ground cover. There's no room for weeds to grow. But if we're mineral deficient, guess what happens? These toxins can easily get in and start growing and storing and stowing away in our cells, causing damage. Mineral sufficiency helps reduce toxic metal uptake. It's just a beautiful thing. This is called competitive inhibition. Minerals belong there. Heavy metals do not. It's kind of like that game on how was it, Sesame Street, where they did the game, which of these things doesn't belong? It's like
Hmm?
mineral, mineral, mineral belong, heavy metal does not belong. The big takeaway is the body recognizes minerals first. If you have minerals in your body, you will be guarding your health. Deficiency is what opens the door to toxicity. That's something we should all put on our bathroom mirror so we remember to take our supplements. So how do you reduce your exposure to heavy metals and protect your health? It's vital to reduce exposure for yourself and your family. Filter your tap water and your shower water. Rinse your fruit and vegetables. Peel root vegetables when needed. Source organic food. That'll help you avoid biosolids and sewage sludge and heavy metals and pesticides with heavy metals. Damp test your home often. Remove paint chips in older homes. Avoid heavy metals in cosmetics and personal care products as much as you can. A good source for that is Environmental Working Group site, Skin Deep. You can go to ewg.org. They have a whole database of cosmetics, or you can just get the cosmetics from Longevity that are free of heavy metals. Avoid broken light bulbs, as we mentioned. Replace questionable plates and mugs that may contain lead glaze. Foods that can help. Antioxidant-rich foods neutralize free radicals. Berries, colorful vegetables, and dark green leafy fruits and vegetables. Green tea is really good. Seaweed, chlorella, and spirulina. A seaweed product from Longevity, FucoidZ, is really excellent. Cilantro, parsley, citrus fruits, really excellent at helping the body cleanse heavy metals. Vitamin C, vitamin E. I'm probably missing some here, but this is not an all-inclusive list. Apples and avocados are really good. Apples have pectin, that's really good, and malic acid, which help cleanse heavy metals out of your system very gently. Avocados are healthy fats that feed the good bacteria in our gut that help defend our gut and keep our gut lining strong. Raw cocoa and dark chocolate are really high in antioxidants, but again, there is the issue with that dark chocolate can contain heavy metals, so try to keep the cocoa at around 70% ratio to avoid the heavier concentrations. Kimchi, kefir, and probiotics are excellent for our gut health. But again, if you have gut problems, it's really important to get your gut healthy so your gut lining strong and you won't have problems with leaky gut and heavy metals getting in through your gut lining. What else can you do? Avoid toxins as much as possible. And as we mentioned yesterday, it is really difficult today to avoid toxins completely because they are everywhere in our air, in our water, in our food. So do your best, but don't beat yourself up. Do what you can. Filter your water if you can. Shower water too if lead pipes are present. Take your essential minerals daily. That's probably the most important thing you can do because no matter what we do, we can't really escape toxins completely in this modern world we live in. But if we take our essential minerals, we really defend our body the best we can. That's the number one thing in my opinion. Keep your home clean and dust free as much as possible. Damp dust and vacuum your home weekly, if not more often. Get an air filter in your home if you can. Avoid products that contain nanoparticles as much as you can. But again, a lot of those are not labeled. So, it's kind of a guesswork project right now. Take your minerals daily. Longevity plant-derived minerals. I believe they are the #1 best choice for absorbable colloidal minerals your body can use. And I believe everyone here would agree with me that they are the best and more absorbable. There are, of course, other mineral products out there, but longevity is the way they're produced and the whole products, how they're brought together with all the necessary parts and cofactors that Dr. Wallach developed in these formulas. I mean, there's nothing else like it. So that's just the best you can get. Other helpful products, FucoidZ has the fucoidin, which is the substance extract from seaweed, which is really beneficial, helpful for the thyroid and the whole body. The ultimate EFAs, the essential fatty acids and omega 3, 6, and 9s, really important for our brain health, to protect our brain and our heart. And of course, a full set. If you want a full set of essential 90 nutrients, you can get one of the healthy body start packs. The healthy brain and heart pack from Longevity is excellent because it has the essential minerals in the Tangy Tangerine. It has the EFAs, it has the selenium, and it has the Osteo-fx, which is all the calcium and magnesium. Really keep your body, keep those guardians, keep the essential minerals full in your cells. So there's no room for these weeds, the heavy metals, the mimic, to enter and take hold in your body. So that is all I have. And if you want to contact me, I am here. And that's it. That's my slideshow. Are there any
Awesome.
slides anyone would like to see that I can replay, or should I end the slideshow?
Go ahead and end the slideshow, folks. If you want to see any of these slides again, make sure that you reach out to Joanna or to the Daily with Doc team itself by info@dailywithdoc.com. We'll make sure that we get those slides to you. And most of all, make sure that you go to the website and be part of our email list so that you can get information as we're sharing it with everybody. Now, Joanna, there was a lot of great information there. We've got hands up. Let's go ahead and move right over to Marilyn. Marilyn, what question do you have for Joanna today?
Okay, well, when you're growing your own vegetables or planting a garden, they always talk about organic soil. And when you go like to Home Depot, you'll see organic and inorganic. Do you need both? Or is it best to just get organic soil?
Well, that's a great question. Well, you have to be really careful because in a lot of the soils now, even those labeled organically, they will have biosolids. So you want to check the labels and make sure there's no municipal, it's labeled as municipal. I'll have to text you what it is exactly, but they have it under there as like municipal waste or local collection or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
On the
I was
back
just
of the
going to say, I
package?
think it says municipal waste.
Thank you. Yeah, but they disguise it as organic, like it's beneficial, and it's not, because the sewage sludge, although it may be gathered from local, wastewater systems, it's accumulation, and it's very heavily concentrated in heavy metals. So you don't want to be adding that. And a lot of communities, they're giving it away. They have like these local sites where people can come get fertilizer and whatnot, but it most likely has biosolids in it from the community or nearby sources, and you don't want to be using that. So,
And should you be getting, the inorganic stuff though, like sand and silt and stuff like that also?
Yeah, well, it
So-
depends on what you're growing. Some plants grow better in sandy soil, like rosemary and lavender, but some need the heavily concentrated. But yeah, getting the separate things I think may be better, like bone meal and whatnot. Um, but yeah, the what's like Miracle Grow that has biosolids in it. A lot of the popular ones, even though they now say organic, they
So it's
do.
better for me to add my own like leaves,
Yeah, get
biodegradable material.
verma composting. If you can do your own compost pile, that would be ideal. But yeah, worm casings are great. Um, compost leaf compost is excellent. But yeah, be wary of anything that contains biosolids. And it won't necessarily say biosolids. It's disguised as municipal collection or something. So
I've had one other question. I seem to get my soil acidic where mushrooms seem to grow if I water more. Is that just because the water is pushing the minerals away? Uh, if the
it
water
could
doesn't have, go
it
ahead.
could be. Yeah, you might need to be adding more minerals to the soil to counteract that.
Yeah, I didn't know what was really causing that. And all I would do is water it and I'd get more. Okay, anyway, okay, thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate all your help.
I didn't mean to,
Oh.
didn't mean to replace both of you. I was just trying to add myself because I do have a little bit of gardening experience. And when it comes to the inorganic, that means that it's not completely organic. There are going to be some synthetic and natural materials in there. It may even contain synthetic chemicals, and it's less beneficial for soil health because of those chemicals. It does reduce the beneficial insects that can be in the soil as well. So it doesn't always have the same moisture retention as an organic soil would be. So I know there's different organic and inorganic definitions in different areas of life, including soil.
So what can I do if I'm in an apartment? I don't have my own house to have a compost pile. What's the best thing I can do?
You can actually do a countertop compost where you put in your scraps that you use whenever you're cooking and work it that way. It doesn't have to be very big, and especially if you're doing your own things in an apartment. You can. There's ways to do anything and everything.
Okay,
We're all about
fantastic.
solutions.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, purchasing, because you're not going to be purchasing a big amount or a large amount whenever you're looking at apartment gardening. So going to one of the gardening stores around you, making sure that you do get a quality garden soil is going to be great. But most importantly, because those common garden soils are not going to include all the essential nutrients, Longevity has Bloomin' Minerals. For those who are not in California, I'm so sorry, Marilyn.
No, get this.
That
I still
includes
get
all
it.
of the 90 essential nutrients. And
Becca, I still can get it. They deliver it to my house. Oh, yeah, I get it.
good. That's fantastic. Maybe it's just the different sizes. So that's wonderful.
No, I asked about the big size too. I called the other day and they said I can get it.
Well, then they must have had some changes. California's coming around. Awesome, fantastic. Well, good information to have. Thank you so much, Marilyn.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's go to Bill. Bill, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you, Joanna. I do have several questions, but on the last question, there's tower gardens if you have the room on a patio with the biodynamic gardening and the companion plants. You can get up to 10 times the production of regular on the ground. So there's multiple ways of doing that. That'll help. Anyway, several questions. Regarding cookware, aged, radioactive free, like Lodge cookware, frying pans and Dutch ovens, I imagine are okay, or do we have a problem with the too much iron?
Um, well, the cast iron stuff, I think those are okay for cooking. I believe if you do like acidic things, they can pull out more iron. Like tomato sauce, but I think otherwise they're relatively safe. I have
Okay.
heard that the air fryers can be problematic because they have PFAS coating on them usually. But heavy metals in the Lowe's cookware, I haven't heard. Um, I have not. I have to be honest though, I haven't thoroughly
Yes, I haven't heard of
investigated
any.
that line. So
Right, I haven't heard of any either. Okay, regarding PVC piping, how about PEX piping, the flexible PEX, PEX?
PEX.
That's the flexible piping.
Okay. Does it have polyvinyl chloride in it?
I do not know, but a lot of homes they're doing that because in the freeze that has more
Yeah.
giveability.
Yeah, I'd have to see that. Well, it is polyethylene. I would have to do a little research on it to see.
Another in-house filter would take care of probably some of the problems.
Yeah, well, it says it can leach microplastics, toluene, and some chemicals.
Oh boy,
Yeah, so
more investigation.
is that a drain line or is that a water line coming in?
Water lines coming in
Mhm.
most of our homes now. And my
Yeah,
thoughts are also of the plastic piping of our water lines coming in from our roads and streets.
yeah. Um, yeah. Are they using plastic? Because the
Yep.
PVC, they're supposed to not leach into the water, is what I heard,
Okay.
but
Okay. Other question.
again,
How about ion uh, and possibly ozone generators, but the ion for negative ion machines? Are you familiar with those at all?
well, I'm familiar with the ozone generators.
But
But the,
negative ion.
yeah, I don't know that they
Like
emit
it's
heavy metals. I
that sounds like it's a show all in itself.
Yeah, we
Okay.
could do a show all on
Let's
that.
do some, yeah, let's do
And
some research
your thoughts on
and
microwave ovens?
I,
Uh-oh.
I don't like microwave ovens, actually. I think they oxidize food and can change the molecular structure. So I don't use a
overheating
microwave.
fats and sugars, changing the molecular structure.
Yeah. So
That's a terrible one to step on.
I,
Convenience.
they are
yes, and
convenient.
I do have a little bit of information in regards to cast iron. As long as it's a clean cast iron that has been properly seasoned, you should be safe. Now, they are doing the porcelain coated or ceramic coated cast irons where you want to make sure that it is newer within like the last 10-15 years, because the older stuff can include, and this includes enamelware, which was very popular, and is in collectibles for antiques. People like to use it, not just to put it on the wall or use it for a decoration, but sometimes to cook with it. That can contain toxic chemicals, as Joanna has shared with us today. So if it is something that is coated, you want to make sure that the coating has not been chipped, but also make sure that you know the year in which it was manufactured, and you want it prior to, in the 2000s. Hopefully you should be safe.
Thank you. Thank you. And
But
that looks like a Berkeley in the background.
It is a Berkey, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
she does have a Berkey. Yes. So, all right.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Did you have another question?
No, no, not this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, thank you. And last but not least, as we are coming up on the end of the show, AJ, it's it's not last but not least.
Joanna, thank
but
you
it
very
can.
much for being here and all the information you shared. My question, I don't know if it's in your wheelhouse, but you talked about lead in the pipes and the need to eradicate lead pipes. I'm wondering, because there's some conspiracy theorists out here, and they say that the reason that they want to remove lead from the painted walls is because then you can get certain signals in that you couldn't get before with the lead blocking the signals. Do you have any insight on that sort of thinking?
Gosh, that's interesting. I haven't heard about that. So what they're saying, that removing the lead paint really isn't necessary, that it's just a
Yeah, well, yeah.
conspiracy.
Well, yeah. What's your thought on lead paint, I guess?
I think it's problematic because the chips in older homes, I've helped renovate a few homes, and yeah, the older one, the lead paint, especially in the window wells, I mean, those chips and they're really problematic for little kids. But the dust, because they can eat them easily. But the dust from the lead paint, as it ages and wears away, if it's not properly removed, that the dust gets in the dust in the home, and then we're breathing it in and everything. And yeah, it's a big source of lead exposure. So yeah, it is. I do believe it needs to be removed, but it needs to removed properly from homes. I mean, there has to be, it has to be properly sealed, and you have to avoid in, inhaling it. Proper equipment has to be worn to reduce inhalation during the remediation process. I mean, it is costly, but I think it is important. But while it's there, maybe it is useful to block those Wi-Fi signals and surveillance cameras,
Yes,
satellites.
yes. You've just made us aware that you're not a part of the conspiracy theory community.
Oh my goodness.
I like to
I
keep
did it
it secret.
Yes. So great questions, AJ. And I do want to go back real quick on the PEX piping, because it was a concern for me as I have renovated many older homes. I have one where when we had a leak, exactly what they went to was that PEX piping, and it can leach harmful chemicals into drinking water, raising concern for its safety. Studies have found that various brands of PEX pipes may release over 150 contaminants, which some could be toxic, making copper a more preferred option for water safety supply lines. All right, good to know. Thank you for bringing that question up, Bill. And it's got me thinking. So, Joanna, thank you again for being on with us and sharing the information. Thank you for providing your slideshow presentation as well, because a lot of us are audio learners, many of us are visual learners, and that helps with both of the classifications for learning. So thank you as a teacher yourself a few moons ago. We appreciate you addressing that as well. If I could get the co-hosts up on the screen with me, and as they are coming up, Joanna, do you have any closing remarks for today's Daily with Doc and Becca?
Well, I'm really grateful for being here, and yeah, I'd love to follow up on some of those questions. Maybe in another show we could do like a whole series on how to, or what water lines are best in lieu of the lead pipes, because it is a big subject area, and there's lots of other things we could explore, more so with the chemicals coming, in addition to heavy metals. Heavy metals, unfortunately, only one small part of the picture are heavy metals, but yeah, there's lots of contaminants out there to avoid.
Well, definitely, we should have one that's more contaminants to avoid, hidden in plain sight. Thank you so much again, Joanna Kappele. Thank you, thank you, thank you,
Thank
folks.
you.
You can find Joanna at the website adoreyourhome.com and get more information from her. And I just want to do a shout out to our co-host today as we have Mary joining us. Thank you so much, Mary, as she took over as our fingers needed to check out a little bit early. That's Marilyn. Mary took her spot in helping to keep the information rolling in the chat. Thank you so much, AJ, as I know you are, oh goodness, I would be fired. I've got another question that I have to bring up. But AJ, can you finish with the thank yous as I pull this question up?
She actually had two questions. She sent me one too. Albert, our main guy down in South Africa, playing with wildlife in his backyard. He is like the guy that used to Crocodile Dundee, but he's actually Giraffe Leanderts. And then we have Sherry Browning, our good friend and multiple certification holding mother of 8 and grandmother of a couple more than that. So she is going to enjoy this holiday season, and we're going to just enjoy it with her. And thanks again, Joanna, our good friend, who's so supportive of us and the whole community. And we love having you on. And I think Becca may have a question for you. If not, I got one for you.
Yes, so Olga from England has written in, and there are 2 questions, just like AJ said. So question number 1, Joanna, because she wanted me to ask this to you specifically. She says, soils in some countries contain high level of heavy metals, and cocoa trees are in particular are absorbing it, leaving us with cocoa products, including our beloved chocolates, some of them anyways, being contaminated with a high level of heavy metals. Is there a way that we can know which chocolate is safe?
Well, they say if you choose chocolate cocoa that's around 70% cocoa, you're better off than if you go like 80, 90%, because the higher intensity can have major amount of heavy metals, whereas 70% is better. You know, it's tricky because cocoa is really high in antioxidants, and they say it's so healthy for us. But yeah, then you have the heavy metal question. But I do believe that I would say take your minerals first, then have your chocolate. Then any
So
heavy
fill your
metals,
cells.
won't adhere. They'll just, they won't get
Well,
rid
and
of
here's the next question. Can dietary fiber bind with minerals before our body can utilize those minerals, thus taking fiber a few hours after supplementing with minerals being a recommendation? Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, yes, a little bit. Yes, I believe lectins and phytates, something can bind with minerals. But I think there's some mixed opinions about it, with the soluble fiber but I would say don't take the fiber at the same time as the minerals to avoid any loss of minerals as they get bound and aren't absorbed. So let your minerals, try to take your minerals the same time each day if you can, and give them room to absorb in your system before you take your fiber. That's my opinion. Someone else could probably another health coach could probably weigh in on that as well.
Yeah, so I mean, the cell can only absorb so much. So if you're flooding your body with minerals and nutrients, there's not going to be much space left for the toxic stuff to be able to attach and absorb. So that's one more reason why we want to make sure that we are getting the 90 essential nutrients each and every day, especially and including those plant-derived minerals in.
Yes.
I don't know that you can overdo it.
That's right.
Your body will let you know if you can, if you do. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us here on Daily with Doc and Becca. Thank you to our live audience for hanging out with us. And for all of you watching us on any of the streaming platforms, thank you for investing time into yourself and being a more empowered individual on things to look out for in helping yourself, your family, your community, and together we are helping the world be a healthier place. Until next time, don't forget to get back with the person that shared this program with you. We'll see you later. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone. See you.
Thank you. Thank you. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We're honored to continue and share the teachings of the founding father of science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We're honored to continue and share the teachings of the founding father of science of epigenetics,